Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be checking out the Vanilla Expanded mod for EU4. Before we begin, consider leaving a like and subscribing if you enjoy this video. Only 10% of you are subscribed, so it would really mean a lot. Let's get started. Vanilla Expanded is a gameplay overhaul mod for EU4 and it is compatible with the 1.31 update. So this mod is a gameplay overhaul mod which brings over 70 new religions, new formable nations, new national cores, new rebel systems, new government reforms and government reform mechanics, changed mechanics to the Great Power system, changed mechanics to army professionalism, new ruler personalities, new events, new starter governments, changes to the religion and culture map mode, and new idea groups, and much more. So let's check out what this mod actually has to offer. So first, going in from an overview into the world, we're gonna check out the new cultures and cultures in provinces, culture groups, and more. So starting out in the Iberian Peninsula, and we can immediately see the changes to cultures. So if we just click on one of these cultures, it will take us to the Iberian culture group. As we can see, Portuguese, Galician, Leonese, and Castilian are all familiar. We also have Aragonese here, as well as a new culture, Extremaduran, which is in the Extremadura region of Iberia. If we click here, we can see the Occitan culture group, which includes Catalan, Provincial Occitan, and Gascon. And if we click here, we can also see the Basque culture, which is in its own group, and it isn't connected, well, in gameplay terms, to any other culture in the world. So this is very cool and very unique to see. If we go into the Andalusian culture group, we can see that it is grouped in with the Maghrebi culture, which have been expanded a lot. We can see the Tunisian culture right here, as well as the Tuareg expanding into the Sahel region of Africa, as well as Berber, Algerian, and Moroccan. Going into Italy, not too much changes here. We do have some new unique cultures such as Sardinian, Corsican, as well as Romanche culture, which is of course present in Switzerland. And if we go into the French cultures, we can see this new Orpitan culture right here, in addition to the already existing ones such as French, Burgundian, Walloon, and Norman. A very good change is the Breton culture, which is in the Celtic culture group, along with Cornish, Welsh, Irish, and Highlander, which of course occupies half of Scotland. And speaking of Scotland, we have the British culture group, which includes English, Northumbrian, and Scottish. Very interesting changes to the German culture group as well. We can see here lots of familiar cultures, but also some new ones, such as Markish right here, as well as Transylvanian Saxon over here in Transylvania, which is of course part of Hungary, in addition to Gothic over here, which is in the German culture group now and not in the Pontic or Byzantine, should I say. We also have Hungarian, which is in its own culture group and not in a Carpathian culture group as it is in vanilla EU4, along with Transylvanian and Slovak culture. And we also have the Shekler culture right here. Of course, these people exist to this day in present day in Romania. We also have the West Slavic culture group, which is immensely more detailed. As we can see, we have Polish, Silesian, Czech. Those three are familiar to us, but now Slovak is appropriately put into the West Slavic culture group instead of the Carpathian. And we also have Moravian, Sorbian, and Kashubian right here. So very nicely detailed, and I'm very happy to see this. Moving into the South Slavic culture group. Now this is of course familiar to us, not too much changes from vanilla EU4, but Albanian is not in the South Slavic culture group, thankfully, which is much more accurate. So Albanian is its own culture. And we have the Romanian cultures here, Vlach and Moldavian, very accurate represented. In the Byzantine culture, however, not only do we have Greek and Pontic, such as in vanilla EU4, but we also have Cappadocian right here in Karaman and Italiot here in the south of Italy, basically in Salento and Calabria, which is very cool to see represented in the game. Turkish is of course now in its own culture group and not grouped into the Levantine culture groups. Now of course this is done in vanilla EU4 in order to buff the Ottomans, because they do tend to expand in this area. But in this mod, Turkish is in its own culture group. So we have Turkish, Azerbaijani, and Turkmeni right here. And these are the Arabic cultures, as you can see, greatly expanded and much more accurately depicted. We have Egyptian, Palestinian, Syrian, Bedouin, Hijazi, Yemeni, and so on. The Persian group, not too much has changed except for a few additions, as you can see, like this Ossetian culture right here. In India, it's pretty much the same, not too much change, as well as Southeast Asia and China, except the Miao culture has been added, which is its own culture, not in any culture group. And some of these cultures over here have been split up, such as Mongol cultures and Altaic right here. Here we can also see the East Slavic culture group, again, not much changed here, as well as the Baltic cultures, So we have Latvian, Lithuanian, and Ruthenian, which is in Königsberg, of course. I would assume this is sort of a mixture between Lithuanian and Prussian culture, which is very cool to see. In Scandinavia, we also have some new cultures. As you know, we have Danish, Norwegian, and Swedish, which are familiar to us, but we also have Scanian culture. So this is at the tip of Sweden right here in the region of Scania, and it's very cool to see, as well as Icelandic culture, Faroese culture, and Norn culture in the Faroe Islands and in the outlying Scotland Isles. Faroese one culture, anyone? And there also have been added some details for the south of Africa, such as different culture groups, which is very cool to see. Moving along, we're going to take a look at the religion map mode. Of course, there have been changes to this. Like I said, there are over 70 new religions, and we're not going to be able to see all of them on the map, but I will show them in the Rebels interface screen and in the Heretics screen. So let's take a look. Of course, this is familiar right here: Catholic, Hussite, in Bohemia, Orthodox, Sunni. Oh, but what's this right here? So in England, we have the Lollard religion. Now, of course, you might know this from EU4 where Lollard heretics pop up, but actually these provinces here are Lollard. So these three provinces right here, which is very cool to see. Moving along to North Scandinavia, we also have the Suomensko religion. So I assume this is sort of a pagan religion that the Sami people in the north of Scandinavia practice. So Suomensko, as we can see, the people of Lapland are followers of the Suomensko faith and are considered heathens by the Catholic state religion of Sweden. This is very, very cool to see, and is definitely something that should be implemented in Vanilla EU4. And over here in the province of Upite in Lithuania, we have the Romuva religion. Now I assume this is also a sort of a pagan religion group, so the people of Upte are followers of the Romuva faith and are considered heathens by the Catholic state religion of Lithuania. So this is another sort of pagan faith, I would assume. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it is a branch of Christianity, honestly don't know. Nothing too odd here, the usual Orthodox provinces in Catholic Lithuania. But moving over to Anatolia, we can see lots of new things, so let's take a look. Of course, this province over here, Kayseri, which has the Cappadocian culture, as we previously mentioned, is Orthodox, which is very interesting to see. In the province of Sivas here, we have the Hurufi religion, which is basically, I would assume, another branch of Islam. As well as these provinces over here are Hurufi. I'm assuming Dulkadir has the state religion of Hurufi, which is very interesting to see. And we also have here another religion, which is Alevi. Now I assume this is another branch of Islam, since it says right here Akuyunu follows Hanafi, which is an Islamic school, of course. We have the Coptic provinces here, nothing new. Orthodox right here. And here we have another religion. So very, very diverse region this is right here. We have the Nestorian religion. Now they are considered heathens, which means this is, and we do have a cross here, so this might be a form of Christianity, honestly don't know. And we have even one more religion here, Yazidi, and they're also considered heathens, so this is definitely not an Islamic religion, as we can see. We have Nestorian right here once again, and we have another religion down here in the province of Homs, which is the Druze religion. Now they are considered heretics, so I'm assuming it is a form of Islam, and these provinces right here are Catholic, which is very interesting to see. The province of Al-Sham and Saida. Moving over to Persia, and we can see lots more Zoroastrian provinces. Now, as we know, one more Zoroastrian province did get added in Leviathan right here, but here we can see 1, 2, 3 more Zoroastrian provinces. So this would definitely make playing as Zoroastrian easier, and we can see that Mazandaran has the state religion of Zoroastrian, which is very interesting to see. Not much has changed over here in Arabia, but we do have Coptic over here, which we don't have in Vanilla EU4, and as of course you know, the Jewish faith is present in the nation of Semien right here. Jewish one faith, Faroese one culture, anyone? Of course, as you all know, this is familiar. We have the fetishist religion, which is present in most of southern Africa, but we have a new religion right here, the Vodun religion. So this is, I assume, another sort of similar to fetishist religion, which gives you plus 20% manpower recovery speed and plus 2 attrition for enemies. So it will definitely be cool to play as one of these Vodun nations right here. The situation in India looks pretty familiar. As you know, most of it is Hindu, with some Sunni nations as well as some Shia nations right here, and of course Theravada and Kandy. And we have some more Nestorian provinces over here in Chagatai, which we did see over here. And the situation in China China is drastically different. So as you know, Vajrayana is present right here, and Confucian has most of this with some animist provinces over here. But now we have this Taoism religion, which is, I assume, another variant of Confucian. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And of course, they are harmonized, so they are considered true believers by Ming. And we have Mahayana right here, which isn't present in the base game. It's very cool to see. And as we can see, Taoism is present right here, and right here. We also have Bai Hu, another religion right here, and I've never heard of this one, as well as Bon. I've never seen this one either, which is very, very cool to see all these people groups represented with their own faiths in this mod. We also have some more faiths here, which is Sana Mahism. I've never heard of this one either. It gives you -2 national rest, +1 missionary strength, and +25% fort defense, which is very cool to see. And we also have Satsana Fi over here, as well as Austroasiatic over here. Very, very interesting, definitely. So lots of new religions present in China and in Southeast Asia over here, as well as the Burma region. And we also have Taiwanese religion in these uncolonized provinces, which is very interesting. Everything seems familiar over here with the Tengri faith. And going on to maritime Southeast Asia, we can see the usual Sunni, Hindu, Theravada, Mahayana provinces, but we have this new Iban faith, which some of these nations will have. So it gives you +2% missionary strength, +1 naval leader shock, and -20% shipbuilding time. Definitely very appropriate for all of these nations over here, such as Ternate and Tidore, which I did recently do a guide on, so check it out if you haven't seen it yet. And these nations over here, as well as the Dayawism religion right here. Now I don't know what type of religion this is, but it's very nice to see. And Norpapua, I'm assuming this is another native religion, and it's very cool to see, as well as Alcharinga in Australia. And now we're going to be checking out the new government reforms and government reform system. So here I am tagged into France, and we can see you can enact a government reform. So enact the first tier reform for free. Now this basically works sort of like a focus tree and not as government reform. So we can see here tier 1 is power structure, where you basically pick what kind of government you want to be. And we can see the usual feudal nobility, autocracy, you know these from regular EU4, but we can see French feudalism. So you can only have this basically if you're France, and it gives you minimum autonomy +10. This is to represent all the decentralization in France, of course. We have ancien regime, I'm not gonna pronounce this, and arch monarchy. So this is basically what kind of government you want to be. We all know this, these are familiar to us. Next though, tier 2, we have tax reforms. So this is where the new system starts to come into play. We have very low taxes, medium taxes, high taxes, and very high taxes. Now all of these give you certain debuffs in order for you to buff your national tax modifier. As you can see here, you get some national unrest -3, development cost -5%, national tax -10%, and monthly war exhaustion -0.1, all the way up to very high taxes where you get +20% national tax modifier but negative traits from the other modifiers. Medium taxes, you basically don't get anything. You can see national tax modifier +1%. So in the early game, you would probably want to have very high taxes because tax is valuable in the early game, and in the late game you will want to swap to very low taxes for these other buffs. And that's it. This tier just focuses on tax, so you can swap in and out of these whenever you want. And then we have trade reforms. As you know, these are for trade, as the name suggests. And we have mercantilism all the way up to absolutely free trade. So this is being sort of like isolationist, and this is being capitalist. And we can see you get various buffs and debuffs depending on what you pick right here. So each of these has certain different buffs and debuffs depending on what you want, with various modifiers such as trade efficiency, trade power abroad, caravan power, ship trade power, center of trade upgrade cost, embargo efficiency, merchants, and much more. So these are all very cool reforms. This is what we get from our current reform. Moving on to tier 4, we have cultural reform. So this is pertaining to culture and stability of your nation. And we have ethnicism selected right here as France, and you have unbiased, pluralism, universalism, or nationalism. So you get different buffs depending on each tier that you select. You can only have one selected, of course, and each of this gives you various modifiers. So this one is best for military and for conquest, I would assume, and this one is best for stability and such, something like that. Moving along one we have religious reforms. As you can see, we have selected neutral, which is +1 missionary strength and plus 10% religious unity. Now you can go all the way from fanaticism, which is basically the most extreme form of doing a one faith, all the way to secularism, which is basically the most tolerant reform, and all of these in between. As you can see, we're neutral and you can swing this way or swing the other way. The tier 6 reform is army reforms, so you can select from mercenary focus all the way to mass army. So basically at the start of EU4, if you were to start here in mercenary focus such as it was in this time period, you would advance all the way through these up to mass army in the late game. But that's not how it works. Obviously France has already selected a professional army and you just need to strive towards mass army. Tier 7 naval reforms, it's basically similar as army reforms, going from discovery focus to landlocked state focus where you don't have a navy at all, basically. Ocean fleet focus, pirate focus, so this is for pirate nations, and inland sea fleet focus, so this is for trade nations in the Mediterranean and such. This would be for colonization nations such as Portugal, Spain, and this is basically the most balanced sort of reform. Going into tier 8, we have educational reforms. Now we have selected church education, but we also have noble education and universal education, so these basically pertain sort of to your estates and depending on what buffs you get from them and such. Going on to tier 9, we have bureaucratic reforms, so this pertains to governance and similar aspects. As you can see, lots and lots of modifiers here that pertain to different things in your nation. You have royal bureaucracy, traditional bureaucracy, simple, expanded, and comprehensive. Now, all of these have their benefits as well as their downside, so it will be very interesting to explore all of these in depth. Next, we have tier 10, which is center of power. This is basically the consolidation of your land. You have royal power, noble council, clerical council, parliamentarism, states general, and this is basically where you put your power into which faction. You, the ruler, the nobles, the clergy, maybe you want to be a parliament such as England, states general, and so on. Tier 11 is state forms, so this is basically pertains to your governing capacity and similar aspects. As we can see, we have regional representation. This is due to the fact that, of course, I have chosen France and they're more decentralized, but some other nations would be very heavily centralized with high absolutism. We also have Unitarian state, that would be that reform, and Confederation, where you have max autonomy and focus on subject gameplay. Next we have the law system reform, which is basically pertains to unrest, prestige, power costs, and similar things. So we have royal law, traditional law, religious law, common law, and continental law. This might be useful more in a roleplay scenario, or maybe you want religious law if you're the Pope, common law if you're Great Britain, and stuff like that. Tier 13 is political voice, and we have more national rest, stability, monthly war exhaustion, prestige, idea cost, and modifiers such as that. So we have only the barons, high census, small census, and most of the nation. So this is basically who can vote. That's pretty much this reform. And tier 14 is the origin of power, so basically you select where does your ruler get their power from. So the royalty, from the god, divine right, from tradition, and from the people. So this would basically be forming into a democracy or something. And finally, the final tier is reform, and you can reform obviously into a republic or a theocracy, as Spain, as France at least. So all of these government reforms and government reform overhaul is very cool to see, and it's definitely very different to how vanilla EU4 works, where you just have to go through each of them all the way from tier 1 to tier 15, whereas here you can enact a reform and swap out of any of these, of course at the cost of stability. We're also going to take a look at the new idea groups really quick here as France once again. So already here you can see the regular ones, but if we scroll down in the administrative idea group, we can see 4 new idea group sets. So we have bureaucratic ideas, which gives us autonomy stuff, advisor stuff, claim, admin efficiency. So this is basically ruling efficiency. Industrial ideas, this would be more for construction and goods produced in trade. Cultural ideas for stability, as you can see, expansion, religious unity and such. And development ideas, which would be very cool for tall play, as we can see, construction cost, dev cost, tech cost, and stuff like that, as well as admin efficiency. In the diplomatic ideas group, we also have 4 new ones. So imperial ideas, which would pertain to conquest, mostly you can see governing capacity right here, province war score cost. Unity ideas, another stability focused ideas, as you can see, vassal force limit, promote culture, religious unity, and stuff like that, as well as innovativeness. Competitive ideas, another trade and mercantilism focused idea group, as you can see, lightship cost, center of trade upgrade cost, trade power, and stuff like that, production efficiency, trade steering. And internationalism ideas, another more diplomatically and influentially focused idea groups such as diplomats, aggressive expansion, diplomatic relations, unjustified demands, and stuff like that. In the military idea groups, we also have 4 new military idea groups, and we can see the military doctrine ideas. Now these seem to be more of a broad idea group where you get bonuses for a bunch of different stuff. Professionalism ideas, which focus on making your army the most professional army in the shortest time possible. Logistics ideas, which focus on, as you can see, force limit, attrition, supply limit, garrison size, and stuff like that. And strategic ideas, which probably focus on military tactics and combat ability, siege ability, and stuff like that. Here we can also see the reworked great power system, and there can only be 5 great powers. So Ming is a great power from Asia, Mamluks from Africa. You can see their government rank right here, you know, tech cost, development, rating. So this is tech cost adjusted with development, and we can see there's only 5 of them. And we can also see some new formable nations, well, at least here as France. So we can actually form the Angevin Empire, which is very cool to see. We do need to arm lots of lands, as you can see here in England, in Great Britain, and in France. Here I am tagged in as Spain, and not only can we form Spain, but we can also unite the peninsula, which changes our country to Iberia. So this would be sort of a united Iberia tag. Here I am tagged in as Austria, and not only can we form Germany, but we can also form Austria-Hungary, which is something that has been requested by the players from Paradox for a very long time, although Paradox have said that they will not include Austria-Hungary ever in the game. Here I am as England, and not only can we form the British nation, but we can also form the Angevin Empire, same as France, which is of course expected and very cool to see. And here I am as Sweden, and not only can we form Scandinavia, but we can also form Sweden-Norway, a dualist state. The event a dualist state happens and the country changes to Sweden, Norway, which is very interesting. I would definitely love to play as Sweden, Norway, and see what I can get up to with that historically existing nation, although after EU4's timeline. And in short, that's pretty much the most important things this mod has to offer. Now I definitely recommend for you to check out this mod for yourself and see what you can get up to with all the new cultures, culture groups, improved cultures in provinces, new religions, like I said, over 70 of them, many new formable tags, the excellent government tier and government reform system, and you will definitely have a lot of fun if you check out this mod. Like I said, this mod is named Vanilla Expanded by Zombie, so huge shout out to Zombie. I don't know if he's the only dev. Shout out to all the devs that have worked on this mod. I will leave a link to it in the description and you can check it out for yourself. This is a very popular mod right now, and I expect it will become even more popular as it's a really good overhaul mod. So check it out for yourself. It does work with 1.31. I'm on 1.31 right now, and you will definitely enjoy this mod. Do you know of any other mods I should check out? Leave a comment below or join the Discord to chat with me. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like and subscribe. Only 10% of you are subscribed, so it will really mean a lot. And I've also launched channel memberships, so if you want to support the channel with more than subscribing, you can check out the join button down below and join the Discord. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another EU4 video.